So I'm going to be doing another like bookish chat video. I recently read a book, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm trying to read like through the alphabet. So I get a book that starts with A and then B and C, so on. And I found one that started with O. I just saw that it was called Once Upon a Time, but it turns out it's like 3 books in one, and it's in audiobook form. So I borrowed it from the library. It's by Demelza Carlton, I think that's her name. I wrote things down in my notebook here. Let me find the page. Okay. So, yeah. So it's called, the first part of the book called Once Upon a Time. And so the first part is called Enchant, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I don't want to give like a rating, like 1 through 5 or 1 through 10 kind of thing. I'm gonna try my best to like focus on the good things, because I don't want to risk being mean. It's not like I'm a professional book reviewer. Yeah, I don't want to be too negative, but I don't want to be dishonest either. I'm going to try and be like as polite as possible, but like being honest at the same time. So it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. There's a difference though, in that the sorceress that cursed the prince with the beastly form and all that, the sorceress is also like Belle, right? But so the sorceress's name is Zuleika, but when she goes to the prince's like castle or whatever, she doesn't say what her name is, so they just call her Belle. I found some like book club questions online. I have 13. I have 13 questions on here, and I did a fan cast because one of them was like if you could cast anybody, if they made a movie version of it. Yeah, I guess I'll just start with the questions. Okay, so what's your overall impression about this book? I just put that it's a straightforward, simple fairy tale. It touches on some dark, mature themes, which, by the way, I should say, like, trigger warning, there's like sexual assault going on, so that's some serious stuff that no one really wants to read about, but especially if that actually happened to you. So just so you know, oh, by the way, spoiler, I guess if you're gonna watch this video, spoilers for this one, but it's hard to spoil something when it's a retelling of an already existing fairy tale. What made this setting unique? She doesn't really specifically say where it is. I mean, I want to say Beauty and the Beast is originally set in like France, but it doesn't really say specifically France, and the names aren't really French per se. She mentions jinn in the story, that there's like magical sorcerers and sorceresses who've been bound to objects, and she talks about the jinn. She mentions that, and I'm pretty sure that's in like Arabic folktale kind of things, I want to say. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. So it also just talks about the kingdom being near the sea, so I'm not sure where exactly it's supposed to be, like maybe near the Arabian Sea. It's just like an imagined medieval kingdom by the sea, and at one point one of the characters mentions, they're talking about hair, like the character Zuleika, her hair was showing, and they said something like they understand why most women cover their hair because it was like so, like he was stupefied, just like enchanted by how pretty she was. But it was medieval, so didn't most people cover their head in medieval times? I don't know. Could be anything. It's just a medieval kingdom by the sea. What 3 words would you use to best describe this book? I put magic, darkness, and consequences. The magic feels kind of dark to me because she needs her own blood to do magic, so that feels kind of dark to me. When she does spells, like she'll bite her lip till it bleeds so that she's using her blood to say the spell. That feels kind of dark. And then the whole story is sort of about like being careful about what you choose to do or who you choose to trust. Zuleika put a spell on something, not thinking it through how it might affect somebody. So usually the Beauty and the Beast is like the prince was a bad person who's really selfish, and maybe the people in his kingdom were like enablers, and so then he was cursed because he was selfish. But in this case, there was this other king who was like an evil king, and he just was jealous of his brother, and so his brother didn't do anything wrong. He was the prince. So he used the cursed mirror that Zuleika made, and then cursed the prince. And so he didn't really do anything wrong. But so it's a little weird. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly. If it makes sense to you. I'm always unsure of how I'm explaining things. But it's more like her consequences, like being irresponsible with her own magic. I don't know. This says share a favorite quote from the book. It was hard to remember the quotes. I remember things more in images than in words. And plus it was an audiobook form, so it's not like I have a book that I could physically mark something and then just, annotate it and then look back for this purpose. But the memory stood out to me when she says, rape is no joke, because that happened to her. And she was talking with the prince, and he made some sort of really inappropriate joke. And, but he was responsible for himself. It's not like he was, oh, you're overreacting, it was just a joke. He's like, no, you're right. That's not something you make jokes about. Which is nice, because a lot of people don't self-reflect. They get so focused on their intention that they don't realize their effect. So that was kind of nice. If you wrote the book, what would you have changed? I would like to have... Wait, I'd like to see the evil king lose his power or some sort of justice for his actions. So they sort of, in the end, talk about, like, starting to rebel against the king. And so you could guess that the prince would inevitably become king, and the evil one would be, like, dethroned. But, you don't see that. And I would have liked to have seen that, especially because there was a part in the book where there was, like, a pirate invasion, and Zuleika used her magic and, like, basically saved them. So she was a part of battles. It would have been interesting to see some kind of, like, not battle, like, well, I guess, yeah, like a battle where they're fighting against the king or something, and she gets some sort of vengeance, but I don't know, that's just me. If you could invite one character over to your house for dinner, who would it be? This is a little weird question. I didn't really get attached to any of the characters in this book. It wasn't really, I felt like it happened too quickly. Things, I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes when you read a book, you get really attached to the characters. I didn't feel that way, so I felt like I couldn't, like, not applicable. I don't feel particularly attached to any of the characters. How do the characters change throughout the book? Zuleika learns to be more responsible with her magic. I said that earlier. I forgot to put this, but, like, the prince, he wasn't a evil prince, he wasn't a selfish prince, but I think he was a little careless and naive and not really, it wasn't like a bad quality, it was more like just a sort of naive carelessness. It's not like he was doing things on purpose, but I feel like he was more aware of his actions or the things that he says and how that might affect people. What character was most like you? That's hard to say. I just put the servant who looked after Belle / Zuleika, same person. Her name is Zuleika, but they just called her Belle in the castle. I put the servant. I think of her as like Mrs. Potts. That's me. I just want to cook some stuff. I don't really feel like I relate to Zuleika and anyone else really. What other books did this remind you of? Well, obviously it's Beauty and the Beast, because it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Would you read another book by this author? Why or why not? Well, yeah, because, I mean, I like fairy tales, and I'm curious about different, like, retellings of things. Like, some of my favorite movies are retellings of old stories, like 10 Things I Hate About You is Taming of the Shrew, A Knight's Tale is The Canterbury Tales. All of my favorite things are kind of a new version or an adaptation of something that already existed. I don't know why, it's comforting. Maybe that's the autism. You like to watch things that are comforting or read things that are comforting. But yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite per se. But yeah, I mean, this book wasn't my favorite, but you know, I'm not mad at it, that's what I'm saying. What was your favorite part of the story? I like the vibes. I read things for more vibes than like the details. So I liked that it was sort of a magical vibe, I guess. And that's about it really. I'm just reading for the vibes, because everything else, not so much. Because then the next question is, what's your least favorite part of the story? That would be obviously the sexual violence, the lack of character depth. It felt, I don't know, it wasn't enough for me. No resolution with the evil king, but cringy quasi smut, because it was really embarrassing to read. And it was really gross when he was still in beast form and she made out with him, like tongue kissed the beast. Like, man, he's still a dog. Just don't do that. It's disgusting. This is, if you could write one more chapter after the ending, how would you extend this story? Let's see, the evil king dethroned, and Varden, which is the name of the prince, the one who turned into the beast. Varden and Zuleika become rulers, see what sort of queen she became, see her fight battles, what their country would look like, things like that. It wasn't enough details for me. It wasn't enough vibes. I mean, I'm here for the vibes, but I feel like there wasn't enough world building going on. You know what I mean? But that's what I get for reading. Like, I was just picking anything. I just searched the letter O, you know, and I just typed random words that begin with the letter O, because that's what I'm on at the time. And this is what I got. So that's why I'm here. And the last thing is the fan cast, which I'll try and post the pictures to give you the visual. And of course the actors might not necessarily be of compatible age, but I'm thinking of them when they were of compatible age, you know. So like Varden and Zuleika, the actors I picked, not the same age currently, but at some point they were. So I just picked them for the vibes of when they were, you know what I mean? So Zuleika, I picked Esmeralda Dubia. I think that's how you say her name. She was in Shadowhunters or something. Then Prince Varden, I put Santiago Cabrera. So he's a bit older than her, but one time he wasn't. Like when he was in Merlin, and so because Merlin is in like a medieval fantasy story, that's what I was thinking. And then Ramon Rodriguez could be the evil king. Zuleika's father could be Benicio del Toro, lady servant, which she had no name. I don't think she had a name, like the Mrs. Potts one. Maria Canals Barrera, and then the guy who was like the prince's right-hand man, and he was like there in the battles and stuff and giving him advice and stuff for when they were fighting the pirates. Luis Guzman. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good cast or not, but it's what I could pick, because it was tricky for me. It was tricky. There's not too many details about the way anyone looks in the story. I wish there was more details, because I read for vibes, not realism, you know. So I wish there was more magical vibes and less quasi smut. It was really gross. It's very cringy, not fun. that was not the best part of the book. I wish instead of the weird smut in the last chapter, there was like some sort of battle and like a revolution fighting the king. I wish that was a thing, but alas. Anyways, not my favorite, I'll be honest. It wasn't my favorite, but I'm not mad at it, you know. It's not like it was hugely problematic and, you know, I have all these issues with it. It's not my favorite. It's not, but I'm not mad at it, you know. That's about it, I suppose. I wouldn't say you should read it, but if you want to, I won't stop you. Yeah, so that was Enchant by Demelza Carlton, which is the first time I've read her or read anything by her. Yeah, so that's about it. So thanks for watching that. Yeah, it's not my favorite book. It's not my favorite. But yeah, so thanks for watching.